Hi everyone, this is the second part of my Makeup Geek eyeshadow swatches and it includes the foiled eyeshadow swatches. If you want to see part 1, it's linked in the description bar below. The first shade we have is Cosmpolitan and it's described as a rose gold with gold flecks and a shimmery finish. Now this one is another one that feels especially soft to the touch and it is just a really beautiful peachy golden goodness. That's how I would describe it. It's kind of like a duochrome effect. I mean, in certain lights you can really pick up the gold out of the shade, whereas in other lights you can really see the warmth of the deep warm peach in it. It's a beautiful colour, and again another shade that would look fantastic in the summertime. And yeah, I think it's just a really great colour if you want like a nice simple warm wash of, I mean, it's not OTT, I still think it's very wearable despite being quite a strong vibrant goldy peach shade. The next shade along we've got, I think this is called Burlesque. Burlesque is described as a metallic muted burgundy with warm undertones. Now this from the pan just looks like it's a really deep, rich, purpley red shade. I'd say it's got a lot of purple in it. I'd say it was more purple than burgundy just by looking in the pan, and even on swatch, although there's a lot of redness to it, I'd definitely say that there's a strong presence of purple in it. It's just a very warm, deep, really decadent shade. And again, this is just another great alternative to brown. It's very wearable because it's got that deepness to it that's makes it kind of look brown in some lights. But yeah, very wearable and one of my favourite out of the regular eyeshadows. Okay, moving on to the next shade, we have Last Dance, and this is more of a purple tone. Last Dance is described as a satin medium to deep plummy brown. Now again, this looks very purple just by looking at the pan, and I'd say it has a very strong purple presence to it, just like Burlesque, although it's more plum than burgundy. It doesn't have as much redness to it, but it does have a lot of brown to it, so that's probably why they've described it as a plummy brown. It's like a mix of purple and a mix of brown, and I think it's just such a beautiful shade. Again, it's a shade that's going to look so great on those with brown eyes. It's not as rich as Burlesque, not as warm as Burlesque, but it's still very beautiful. So if you're after a bit more of a cooler tone look, then this is a great shade. The second row along, and my fingers are getting so mucky now. I'm just going to wipe that off. The first shade of the second row, we have Glamourous, and this is described as a shimmery bronze gold. And I'm not sure where they got the bronze from because it's a really vibrant orangey gold shade. Very warm, really pretty colour, and fantastic if you've got a tan as well, because I think this will really stand out. It's a very warm shade. You can see a lot of orange in this gold, but it's still very much a gold. Now moving on to the foiled eyeshadows, which I absolutely love. The first shadow I have is called In the Spotlight, and Makeup Geek describes this as a soft pink with coral undertones and a foiled finish shadow. But I'd say it's more of a peach than a pink. It definitely looks very peach in the pan, but when you swatch it, it is very white. Is how I would describe it. It's really weird. It doesn't swatch as peach as it is in a pan, and I mean in some lights it looks kind of like it has a really strong white shimmer running through it, and when it catches the light at certain angles, you can really see that strong peach undertone coming through. And how I like to wear it is I usually put it on my inner corners, so on my tear duct area, and that just really helps to kind of brighten up the eyes. And I also like to wear it on the center of my eyelid. So just when the light catches it, it just really makes your eyes kind of pop, even though I hate using that word. It's really, really kind of frosted, so there's a high amount of sheen in this one. And now the next one along is my absolute favourite, and it's the shade Grandstand. And Makeup Geek describes it as a medium rose gold with a slight taupe undertones and a foiled finish. Now, it's a colour that looks kind of difficult to describe when you're just looking at it in the pan. In some light you can really see the rosy hints. In other lights you can really pick up the gold, but there's also a kind of like browny, mauvey shade running through it, and it just kind of dials down the shade a little and makes it a little bit more neutral. And I mean, I just think it's such a beautiful colour, and this one would work fantastically just over the eyelids. Sorry, I thought I had a hair there. My absolute favourite from all of the foiled eyeshadows. Although I've only got 5, I definitely think I've got the best 5 of the bunch. The next one I have is called Flamethrower. Now this one, get ready for it. It's a beautiful, really burnt orange shade. It's very deep, it's very decadent, and Makeup Geek describes it as a true brightened warm copper with a foiled finish. Now I do agree that it's a warm copper because there's a definite deepness to the shade, but when you say kind of brightened warm copper, I wouldn't say it's brightened, because for me, if it's brightened, it'd be a bit more vibrant, but I think the deepness kind of brings the copper shade down a notch. And I just think it's such a beautiful, beautiful shade. Oh, that would just look gorgeous, especially with a tan. I know I keep saying a lot of these shades would look really good with a tan, but I think, you know, your deeper kind of golds and your coppers and your reds, I think work really, really nice when you've got a tan. And this colour would also work great if you've got green eyes. It will really bring your green eyes out. Now, going on to a more of a different hue, this shade is called Mesmerized. And Makeup Geek describes it as a deep medium taupe with strong purple undertones. Now when you're looking at it in the pan, there's definitely strong purple undertones to this really deep dark taupe. And for me it's very much as it is described. It's a purple, but it's got a really kind of strong steel grey silver running through it. This is a beautiful shade for those who want to rock more of a cool toned eye, whereas Flamethrower is the absolute opposite on the kind of spectrum. And because it's got that strong purple undertone to it, it would work beautifully with brown eyes. So I'm really excited to try that one out. And then finally, my last of the foiled eyeshadow is the colour Showtime. And Makeup Geek describes it as a rusty brown with warm undertones. Now when I look at it, I don't think brown. When I look in the pan, I don't think brown. I think it's definitely a very deep, reddish, burgundy, plummy shade. More than anything, it's definitely more of a purple shade, and when I swatch it, I can see what they mean when they say red, but it doesn't make me think rusty. When I think of rusty brown, I think of that kind of orangey rust shade that you get when, you know, metal goes rusty. This is nothing like that at all. It's a very warm, deep, dark purple, but because it's warm, I guess that's where they've got the rustiness from it. And I've got to say, I think this is probably my second favourite out of all the foiled eyeshadows. I mean, I love them all, but I'd definitely say Grandstand is my favourite, and probably followed by Showtime. And I think they would actually work well together because they've got that kind of plummy brown vibe going on. And that's all of the swatching done. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I've really, really enjoyed making this video, showing you guys what fantastic quality the Makeup Geek eyeshadows and foiled eyeshadows are. I think the regular eyeshadows retail for $5.99, whereas the foiled eyeshadows retail for $9.99. That's if you get them in the individual
individual pans. They are so worth every penny and more, I would say. The only thing about buying them in the UK is you do have to take into consideration the, I think it's the shipping and handling fee from their end, but then when it arrives in the UK, you'll get charged, I think it's 20% VAT on top, and also an £8 Royal Mail handling fee. But even with all that cost, I still think you're probably getting it cheaper than if you were to buy the same amount of eyeshadows from MAC. And here I think you're actually getting better quality than MAC. The pigmentation is superb. The formulation is on point, the blendability is incredible. I just can't sing any more praises. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!